Hey everyone, we have arrived. We're so excited and glad to be back. I know we were off last week, a little impromptu, but we made it. We're here, and we're going to have a really exciting episode of A Crumbling Foundation in just a little bit. First, a couple things to go over. I promise to keep it short and sweet. First, we have a Discord. If you enjoy any of the amazing things you see here, any of the other stuff, if you'd like to connect and chat with any of these incredible people here on screen, or so many others off screen, you can do that over on our Discord. We've got a great group of creative minds, game designers, people who make and play and run actual play content, phenomenal human beings who are just down to talk about whatever. There's been so much conversation about leverage recently in the general chat. It's great. So come hang out, come check that out. You can find the link down below in the about section. You can also find it over on my Twitter at TheLionKnight42, and probably other socials. I forget which ones are and aren't set up at this point, as far as like Hive, Mastodon, whatever else there is. I don't know, stuff. So all of the backups. We also have a Ko-Fi. If you enjoy what you see here tonight, you can go check out our Ko-Fi. It's the best way to support us. We have memberships over there, which offer some really exciting stuff. The ability to provide names for NPCs and locations. At certain membership tiers, you also get talkback videos every month for each of the shows that we run. We have a post-show, which is just the cast sitting down and talking about what's happened, their thoughts on it, and some other cool tidbits. It's really awesome. Please do check that out if you can. We really support any support that you guys do offer, and it allows us to A, know that what we're doing is good and that we should make more, and B, allows us to continue sort of expanding the process, because ultimately the more shows we can put on, the more games we can play, the more amazing people we can get in front of y'all, and the more interesting stories we can tell, which is always our goal. With that, is there anything else I absolutely have to go over that I haven't yet? I don't think so. And if there is, I'm sure the banana will tell me during the break, and I'll make sure I go over it later. But for now, we're gonna go around and have everyone remind you who they are, where you can find them, why they're amazing. Awesome, thanks, banana, over in the chat. So this week, let's start with Zoe. Why don't we start with you?
Hello, everyone. I am Zoe, or Zoe Trooper. You can find me here, or you can find me at Hollowed Haven Studios. Tomorrow we are doing... Oh, wait, never mind. It's pre-recorded. You don't get to know about that. It is a Witcher one-shot, though, and it will be airing on the 18th. But I'm running it, and I am going to put my Witchers, because I have 3 Witchers and 2 Mages. They require a challenge. Like, a group like that definitely requires a challenge that is... benefiting it. It's gonna be great. You can also find me in the New Year's at Component Cast in a Cyberpunk Red game. Super excited for that as well. That's it, though. Moving on.
Awesome. And who are you playing tonight?
Oh yes, sorry. I am playing Zura Von Brandt, the group's mathematician and kind of data analyst.
Awesome. Okay. The Eye.
I am the Eye. I am the one that Lion Knight summons, the demon of the void, that he says, hey, let's play a game. And I say, okay. And I drudge myself from the abyss of which I live in to come and play games with all of you folks. I am playing Lieutenant Liam MacCern, the Scottish member of the GOC, who got caught up in SCP shenanigans.
And who I promised to not accidentally call MacCern tonight. Or to try my best not to. I've done that like 3 times so far, which I'm very sorry for. Jack.
Hello. Oh, no. Jack.
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
no. Oh,
wrong Jack. No, yeah. It's fine.
Jump in the queue.
I started responding to my character's name. I was like, oh, he's going for Jackson. Got it.
It happens.
2 minutes and then it'd be perfect.
Deep into character. Sorry.
Jack.
Please carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sure. We're going a little out of order today. That's fine. I'm
we're
totally
mixing it
prepared
up a
for
little
that.
bit.
Hello. Yes, I'm Jack. Exciting new news. You can now find me at my newly rebranded channel, twitch.tv/RPGs Uncovered. We are phasing out the People's Ascension. It's still going to be a big part of the channel and my shows. It's a name that goes back nearly a decade, and I love it, but I think RPGs Uncovered is better represents what I do on my channel, which is, of course, a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it is to learn a new TTRPG. In January, the first or second week, still working that through, we're going to be starting up season 4 of RPGs Uncovered, featuring Cyber Rats, which is going to be really cool. I'm working my way through casting now, getting all the scheduling set up, but it's basically Cyberpunk meets XCOM without all the nitty-bitty crunchiness that tends to bog things down. And you're playing a whole bunch of giant rats, and it's great. So stay tuned for that. It looks like an excellent game, and it's going to be a good time. You can find me here almost every week, various other times, I'm sure. And on Tuesdays, you can find me over at twitch.tv/Studio Tembo. That is at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I am Captain Ambrose of the USS Europa for some Star Trek adventures, Star Trek Europa. Great show. We're coming up on the end of the season, but that doesn't mean you can't jump in, because very accessible, very episodic, and I'm about to go save a Romulan princess, and it's going to be great. As far as today, I am playing everybody's favorite, Agent Hevard Hart. Everything's going according to plan.
Yeah. Yep. Someone's plan, at least. At the very worst, mine, which I don't think is what anyone wants, but we'll see. Okay, Tal. Let's.
Oh, it's me. Hello. What a surprise. Hi, everyone. I'm Tal Woodblaze. You can find me mainly on Twitter at The Gamer's Rest. I am a writer and designer of TTRPGs, and I have a monthly Ko-fi where you can get a ongoing monthly D&D adventure, and then a few bits and pieces from my homebrew and anything else I might be working on at the given time. And tonight I will be playing Jackson Kennedy, who is the group's medic and all-round grumpy person who his job is to make sure they get back in at least 2 pieces, I suppose, as a bare minimum. Check out my Ko-fi. Thank you.
And last but definitely not least, JD.
Hi, I'm JD. You can find me on pretty much all socials at JD, not Jason Dean. I am doing way too many things always. I'm usually with Live from the Apocalypse. You can find me there tomorrow for class reunion winter break, where ironically, I am also playing a character named Ambrose. There can only be one, and there may only be one after tomorrow night, because there's just been a prophecy that my character might die. So that's going to be a good time.
It's never good.
And then you can find me also Wednesday with Live from the Apocalypse for Fetch Quest, where I will be playing a good boy in a very nice, sweet, family-friendly game. And then you can find me on Sunday, where I will be in Academy H, which is the recording of our Masks Actual Play podcast, where I play Casimir Bright, aka Spectral, the child of a supervillain. And tonight I am playing Dr. Zachary Ryan, who is the social sciences member of the group. And he thinks everything's going perfectly fine, to be honest. He thinks this is great. We're in a basement. There might be cult activity. There are paintings. This is fine.
This is how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Zach gets it.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure when we last left off, it was Agent Hart who was getting it.
Just making friends.
So, last time on the Crumbling Foundation, the group decided to separate themselves in order to pursue a number of different ones, with a handful of, with I believe the scientists staying back No, wait. I'm sorry. Doctor Ryan went with Agent Hart and Jackson, correct? To go meet with another one of the residents, another one of the tenants, while Dr. Von Brandt and Lieutenant MacCern, at that time, stayed back and surveyed the suspiciously furniture barren apartment that had been sort of covered wall to wall in all sorts of random objects, papers, and whatnot. From there, the what I'm going to call the away team, who went to meet with who went to meet with Jared Moore, um, realized fairly quickly that there was something that he was hiding. Became clear after a couple of moments that it was probably not related to this and was instead related to some kind of sativa indica hybrid strain. But that his workshop down in the basement might perhaps bring a little more interest, at least to our one Agent Hart, if no one else. Which eventually led to Agent Hart taking the bold decision to go down into the basement with very little in the way of backup initially, and finding himself squaring off with a painting that was a almost one-for-one exact replica of the strange lion-headed gentleman who is not a self-insert that had been seen at the park across from the veranda. And though Agent Hart tried his best to meet this being's gaze and unfalteringly stand tough, unfortunately, with that came strange aching pain and a and a crackling flame with a low growl until eventually everything else sort of faded away as Agent Hart found themselves consumed with these feelings of smallness and inability to comprehend. But before any of that could really peak, Agent Hart's attention was pulled away by the drip, drip, dripping of little bits of blood pouring from Agent Hart's nose. And I think that's just about where we left off. Now, I know Agent MacCern, along with Zura, correct, had gone down to see what was going on here.
I believe we're all down in the basement at this point.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, and I think so, Agent Hart, your eyes break away from the painting for a moment as you feel that wetness sort of trail down your face. And everything around you, the conversation going on between Dr. Ryan and Mr. Moore, seems to be very much the muffled, low, unintelligible sounds of two adults talking from something like Charlie Brown, just barely even recognizable words to you. And your attention seems almost immediately drawn back to the painting, and in it, where this creature had these its hands outstretched without anything painted into whatever would be in their palms, you now see clear as day in their left hand is a heart, and in their right hand is a very recognizable set of car keys. What would you like to do?
I'm going to take a moment, try to meet this gaze once again. I assume I am still staring out into a vastness I am unable to comprehend. And I've lost that periphery of everything else going on around me.
And while it does definitely still seem as though you are peering into this vast expanse of strange impossibility, the pressure is not the same. The pain in your head has become this sort of low, dull ache, like a migraine that you've already sort of become accustomed to, familiar with. You will not allow to deter you, and the crackling sounds of flame have sort of died down to what you would expect from your average fireplace. Again, easily ignored. And the growling seems to have stopped.
Do I get a sense of malevolence or simply a greater being trying to, like, looking down at an ant?
I think it very much would feel like an ant looking up at something significantly larger than itself. I don't think there's any. Sorry, hang on. I don't think there would be any inherent malevolence or disdain or negative feelings surrounding this.
Just gonna reach down to my side and see if I still have my car keys.
You do.
Okay. I'm gonna straighten myself up. I'm gonna look back at it and just give it a nod. I'm gonna take a step back. Try to break back into reality.
And even as you step back and you nod and you start trying to push your awareness elsewhere, you can feel its eyes on you, burning into you, simultaneously demanding your attention and daring you to try again. In the meantime, what are the rest of our wonderful squad getting up
As far as I know, MacCern is currently standing on the other side of the door, holding back a "I told you fucking so" from his position over there. But currently I'm not seeing. So what do we see from the doorway?
to? Well, from the doorway, I think you have a pretty good view of the room, especially if you're getting close to it. You can still see at least the two finished or mostly finished paintings, if not the blank canvas, which means you also will be able to see Agent Hart. With did you dab away at the?
Mhm.
You did? Okay. Then you would also have seen Agent Hart wipe away the very clear presence of blood, as well as the conversation that Dr. Ryan is currently having with Mr. Moore.
Well, at that point, I believe that MacCern is going to pull from his back his M4A1 and look over at Kennedy.
So Kennedy is going to go to his wrist, and he's going to activate the heartbeat sensor device that he has, and just do a quick sweep just to get an idea of how many beeps am I getting from the area. So just to get an idea of is it just one other person in there with them, or are there other things around that we can't see?
Sure, absolutely. I would say that you sort of hold it up and you're sort of sweeping the area, right? And
Mhm.
and you pick up Agent Hart, who and you can correct me if I'm wrong in my assumption, perhaps is a little faster than one would expect from the average person at the current moment. And then you pick up the very slow, steady heartbeat of Jared Moore and then Dr. Ryan's. And that seems to be it.
Okay. So I'll just I'll kind of silently indicate to Liam as to the fact that, from what I can tell, there's only one additional person in that room.
I'm gonna keep my gun at the ready, but I'm not gonna go in quite yet. I'm just watching.
And where's Zura from where we are? Because I'm one side of the door, so I can't actually see into the room. I'm kind of like
I am
flush against
still
the wall.
probably in the hallway because I was kind of following behind MacCern and kind of giving you a sheepish look. I don't think I've seen what's happening with Hevard yet, so I'm just kind of like, what's happening, tapping my fingers together.
Okay, so in that case, I'll indicate to Liam that I'm going to take up the kind of rear defensive position. So and I kind of motion for him that he's in charge at this point here, because obviously things are about to go wrong. But I'll make sure that I take up the rear defense, just so that we don't get surprised by anybody who decides to follow us down to the basement. All nice and quietly as well, so as minimum amount of noise as possible.
The two military men just doing hand signals at each
Yeah.
other. And it was like, what the fuck is that?
And I'm gonna say that Dr. Ryan, the way that things are positioned, you have a view of this happening outside of the room, and Jared has his back to the door and does not have particularly good perceptive skills, and has no idea what is happening behind him, and is just going on about his process and what it means to him when he puts a piece together, and how he's had these inspirations as of late that have come from the world around him, because that's what art really is. And then he sort of like stops and he looks down at his wrist and his watch, and he goes, it's gonna be dark soon. We should probably start getting go. And then he like leans over and he's like, you all right over there, champ?
Oh, yes. Just admiring the work. A little caught up.
It's a powerful one. You gotta take it in doses,
And I feel like Zach, first of all, has been trying to gesture to like Liam and Jackson just to hold off for a minute, like indicating we're okay, like you don't need to bust in, we're good, as much as he can with hand signals. And actually, he would probably have a sense of some of what the two of you are saying, since he is versed in visual signals and sign language. So he is definitely like trying to get the two of you just to hold off a little bit longer as he's keeping Jared talking. But I think when he does look over at Hevard and notices a bit of the blood, his expression changes a bit, although he doesn't draw attention to what he's noticed, and instead just looks at Jared and says, I know we should head out in just a moment or two, but I wanted to ask you, you said the painting, it needs to be taken in doses. How many doses? What do you find is the right number?
Well, that's tough. I mean, you're gonna get something different from it every time, right? So I don't think it's so much like there's a specific magic number. And then his face kind of like drops a bit, and his eyes start shifting back and forth like he's processing something. And then he just kind of looks back up and he's like, 6. Yeah. Yeah. Six doses, I think is probably the right number of time.
You've spent a lot of time with this painting. Is that how many doses you've had?
Not yet. I only really just finished it like a week ago. And this is my 4th time down here since because like I said, I got to keep that separation, right, where it just becomes a lot.
That makes sense. That completely makes sense.
uh we should go though, because we don't want to interrupt anything, and we don't want to it's real nice of them that they let me use down here for this, and I don't want to have to make any problem.
Yeah, that's right. You said there's that group that meets down here.
Yeah.
The 2 important questions. I've looked away. When I look back, do I still see Mufasa there holding my heart and my car keys?
Yes, you do.
And since I've kind of nodded towards it in my response, does it look like either of the other 2 people in the room have seen this new addition to the painting?
No one has reacted in any way that would lead you to assume that they can see that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Mr. Moore, I appreciate you taking the time to show us your work. I look forward to seeing more of what you can do and see you back out into the world of galleries and art shows and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I let me know if I can do anything else to help, right? Like, just don't don't come looking into I understand the reason why her dad is worried, right? Like, someone just up and leaves, and it's real scary and stuff, but she just had more to see, and sometimes we don't know how to say goodbye to people.
What do you mean by that?
It's just there's only so much you can get done in any one place. There's always more to see and more to take in and more to absorb into what you create, right? Because we can only really make what we can take in. And she took in what she couldn't hear and was, ready to go become part of something bigger.
New perspectives are important.
Yeah.
One last question, Mr. Moore, and again, thank you for your time. You mentioned 6 doses of the painting is the right one. How
Okay.
many doses did she have before she left?
Yeah, I think it was after the 6th time that she left.
Thank you. This has been quite illuminating.
Well, I appreciate it's nice to get other eyes on my work, especially this. It's been a long time coming, I think. You know, when you guys showed up, I was freaking out a little bit because fancy government suits, and he like motions over to have it gets a little stressful, man, but they'll seem pretty cool.
Well, I get a lot from this job, but I do it to help out the people. You seem like cool people.
That's right, man. I appreciate that.
I'm going to say a little bit louder for the folks in the hallway. Now, since it seems to be getting late, let's get you back up to your apartment.
It's at that point that Liam is going to motion to the other two people to find a hiding spot real fast. Before Liam reholsters his rifle and just leans up against the wall as if he was just hanging out.
Okay. So the only places that I think very clearly there are to hide is probably the breaker room. The that was there's a door labeled breaker off to the side. Is probably the only place that really stands out is somewhere you can get into if you're looking to hide instead of the casual against the wall I've always been here thing that Liam
I'll make a break for the breaker room and just slide inside and quietly close it behind me.
Zura, what about you?
Well, I imagine I just kind of like step aside for people coming upstairs, and I kind of have this sensation like I'm glad this was a distraction because now I'm not in trouble, and I'm just kind of playing it cool, looking normal, you know.
Love it. Yeah. So Jared turns and he like fishes into his pocket to pull out the keys. And he like steps out of the room and kind of like starts a little bit, seeing deck regardless of the undrawn weapon. Lieutenant MacCern does still cut a fairly intimidating figure, and he just sort of like is he with y'all?
Yes.
Yes, it seems some of my colleagues have taken an interest in where I've run off to. They
Huh.
get worried.
He looks over and he just kind of like nods, like up nods. So
Slow down nod.
you keep some interesting company, I guess, doing what you do. And he pulls the door shut, locks it.
Well, you know, organizations like the government, we like to keep all of our bases covered.
Yeah, in the cheapest way possible, right?
Unfortunately.
So,
Though I do think it's important that we focus on what Hart has discovered so that he may divulge that information. Maybe not here, of course, but it is so very important to get a recount of events.
right. Okay, yeah. And he's gonna sort of motion and set himself up to try and be the last person out of the basement. He just kind of like motions for everyone, obviously except for Jackson, nowhere to be found. Yeah, we gotta go.
And why is that?
Because we're not supposed to be down here after dark. That's just the way it worked out. That's the deal.
Not supposed to be down here. I believe we have a warrant, do we not?
I mean, I don't have a warrant, man. I just came down here to do the thing I'm supposed to be doing, and like, we showing your agent guys the work I've been doing, but like they still don't want anyone here after dark. That's just what they told me. I'm not, the building manager or anything. I can't. You got giving me the warrant is like it's not gonna do anything for you, man.
Well, we wouldn't want to put Mr. Moore in a tough position now, would we here? He's simply following his rules as a tenant. I'm sure we can take this up fairly easily with the building management.
He can go back to his room, I'm sure.
Yeah, and look, I'm not looking to lose, my workspace here for having left y'all down here when they don't want people down here after dark. You know what I mean, man? I'm not trying to give you a hard time or anything, but like, you got to talk to the building folks about that.
Perhaps we should talk to the building folks about this before going down there.
Liam seems to stiffen up a little bit. And does a quick hand signal for Kennedy to stay before
Kennedy's behind a
well-
closed door, right?
I would suspect that you would have eyes on what's going on, however.
Yeah, if I can. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like open just enough that you can kind of
Yeah.
check.
All right, well, I think that we need to make that phone call as quickly as possible.
I appreciate that, man. Like, I know you're just trying to do your thing, and I'm not trying to like get in your way or anything, but I got a pretty good thing going for me here, and I'm not trying to fuck that up. And
We wouldn't want to inconvenience you now, wouldn't we, Lieutenant? If I understand Mr. Kennedy's initiative, I'm sure he's looking into the matter at the moment.
So if I can, ideally, I want to try and communicate to Liam to make sure he gets hold of the key to the basement. I don't really want to be locked in down here, if possible.
All right. So here's what I'll do.
Well, we do have earpieces, so if he just
Yeah.
whispers it, I'm sure that I'll be able to.
Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll tap Morse code key.
What is Liam? What's your I don't know if I'm gonna need. No, that's fine. I'm not gonna make you roll for that. I assume Lieutenant MacCern would understand Morse.
But I don't see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Would you make Zach roll for that? Because he is watching this as well.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna
So
we're gonna
it's
roll.
on open comms, so I would assume everybody would get the tapping noise across their headsets.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's visual signals and sign language is what I'm gonna use for this one. Because it's the closest thing I can think of that would, work for this. But you are absolutely welcome to make that check.
That is a 19.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. You know exactly what message is being relayed.
Okay.
And anyone else who would like to make that check can as well.
As soon as Liam gets that message, he's going to look down at the civilian with his very, very piercing eyes and says, well, we're going to make that phone call, but because I do not wish to wait for any supers, if they do give us the go-ahead, I would like that key, if you don't mind.
All right. Yeah, just all right. Yeah, I mean, just make sure I get it back, like that's all.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get it right back as soon as we're finished with it.
And he like pulls out his keys. Actually, he still has them out, and he like pulls the key off. All right. And
Liam will
takes a
take it.
second, and he like, and then he gives it to you. Like there's a clear reluctance, and he's definitely like struggling with it, but he does. Zura, what did you get for the Morse code?
15.6.
You'll also pick it up then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would be ashamed if person who specializes in pattern recognition couldn't figure out Morse code.
Yeah.
Well, after you, sir.
Yeah, and he at that point, leads the way, I guess, out of the basement. And then he looks like you should like lock up for now. And that way, like if they're like, no, or you have to like do something with them, whatever, I can say I did my part, you know what I mean?
Well, so they're all going up the stairs, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like a ramp, right? So it's like a downward ramp coming down into the basement. And so it would be going back up a ramp when you get out.
Right, but it's like single file, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Liam will be the last one going up, and as Liam will place the key within eyeshot of Kennedy on a shelf or something right next to him before walking up the stairs. And then as soon as he walks up the stairs, he'll turn, close the door, act as if he's locking the door, and then puts something in his pocket.
Ooh, I'm going to have you roll me an acting lie charisma check.
Just so we're not overthinking this and we're on the same page, is this not a door that has a locking mechanism accessible from the inside? Because that seems like a fire hazard.
No, yeah, there's definitely a way to like unlock it.
Like you don't need the
inside,
key
yeah.
to
all right,
leave the
No,
building.
no. This is very.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll keep the key if that's the case.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I was like, maybe there's another reason why you're. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I was just very concerned that if it did get locked, I wouldn't have a way of unlocking it, and I'd be stuck in there.
Sure, fair. Okay, but yeah, there is like a little like snap thing on the inside that you can.
Cool.
So Liam will lock the door as soon as they're all upstairs, put it in his pocket, and turn and look at the civvy.
And I think at that point, Jared will like pull out a piece of paper and just like scroll down his number real quick, and he'll hand it to whoever's closest.
I'll take that.
Yeah, and he'll be.
I would have walked pretty much up with him.
Yeah, if you whatever you need, let me know. Give me a call, knock on the door. Around.
I appreciate your willingness to help out the investigation. You've been a great help.
Whatever gets everyone closer to peace and resolution. That's what matters here. And let me know if you want to get another look. Like I said, you gotta take it in pieces.
I will let you know. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
And he like reaches out, take your hand. He'll just sort of turn and leave, going back into the building.
As soon as he leaves, Liam's turning and opening the door again.
Sure, yeah.
So whilst I'm in the breaker room, can I have a look around? Ideally, try and see if anything stands out as unusual.
Sure, absolutely.
Doesn't look like it would either belong there or just looks plain wrong.
Sure.
From a kind of electrical point of view, I guess.
So what I would like you to do first, immediately upon entering, I would like you to roll me an identify smell, which is perception based.
Okay, identify smell. Perception, it's my perception. Oh, it's 3 8s and a 10. Lovely. Okay. So let me just get those. 1, 2, 3, and a 10. So that is so my 10, so my D10 exploded.
Nice. So you add a D12.
D12. Okay.
Excellent. Love it.
No, not that helpful, but still good. So I make that 20 plus my smell, which is 2, so 22.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So you go in here and you like close the door most of the way, and the first thing you notice almost immediately is this smell, kind of like a mixture of chlorine bleach and like charcoal. It's like this weird mix of like ozone over like open, like overburnt fire, like charred meats almost. And it's the room itself is not particularly large, although the back half of it does seem sort of darkened by the shadows that stem from the lack of light. Here, you do get a little bit filtered in from the crack in the door and can see the beginnings of like a very large, very old looking breaker box. With like you can see the first half of the like hazard keep out sign that seems to be a little bit like picked away at and sort of like faded. The like side of the like door that facing you is kind of like rusted and broken up a little bit. And it's just the smell seems to sort of not seem it doesn't seem to be centralized anywhere. It definitely wasn't something you noticed before stepping in this room, but being in this room it is like overwhelming.
I'm going to take my lantern out and just kind of shine it around into all the dark corners, because that's what you do as an agent. You always got to look in the dark corners. Yeah, just see if I can get any kind of I guess at this point with that smell, looking for any kind of liquid or source that might have caused it potentially.
Sure. So there are real quick. We have a hydrate check. We're gonna run that. Thanks, JD. Always good to hydrate. So you take out and you start sort of scanning the room, and it becomes fairly obvious where at least part of the smell is coming from very quickly. There is a long, thick metal pipe that seems to run across the far end of the room along the floor. And as it makes the final turn up against the wall, moving towards the breaker box, you can see a large portion of it is broken. It looks kind of like it had rusted and then like either fallen in on itself or had like been like maybe even purposefully like stomped in. And there is something black that seems to sort of be jammed halfway into. And it's difficult to tell what this thing is from where you are on the other side of the room. It's maybe a little bit bigger than your hand and fairly like slim. It's not particularly wide or thick from what you can tell. But it's jammed in here, and it does definitely look burned, whatever it is. And you can occasionally see little like flashes from underneath it that look like maybe something with the wiring happening.
Okay.
Besides that, there doesn't actually seem to be very much else in the room. It's very bare, very.
And are all the breakers on and operating as I would expect them to?
You will have to open the door to the breaker box, which you are free to do.
Yeah, why not?
Wonderful. So you open up the door. It has one of those little rings that like flattens against it, so you can pop that open and pull it open.
So just as a precaution, I've got some gloves. I'm just gonna pop some gloves on just as a precaution.
It's a solid idea.
Yeah.
So you pop your gloves on, you pull the ring forward, and you swing the door open. There's a bit of a grinding metal sound from the little bits of rust and decay that seem to be on the hinges as you pull this thing open. And immediately as you do, this ichor seems to pour out of it onto you. And it's not like a little, this is like gallons of it seems to be sloshing out onto you, starting to fill the room. It doesn't even seem like it's pouring out of the crack in the door as it rises almost to your calves in this disgusting black thick ichor that seems to carry that same stench. And as it ceases to pour out, you see each of the like differently labeled apartment breakers where you would expect to see like the switches have been replaced with what look at first like bones, burnt, charred bones, but upon closer inspection they seem to be sculpted like bones, but are clearly made of some kind of.
Okay. So at that point, I'm going to. He's just kind of going to go. Yeah, this is the point where if I don't go and get help, something's going to kill me. And at that point, I would like to leave the breaker room if I can, and go and find the rest of my group to give them an update.
Sure. And as you step through, you've got that like wet sloshing, and you can feel it sort of filling all of the empty spaces in your boots, and you can feel it soaking into your sock, and it almost feels like walking through a just under like cooked gelatin as you move. But even as you push the door open to get through it, it just sort of stays localized. None of it goes pouring out. None of it spills. It doesn't seem to be bothered in any way. As you exit the room, besides what's left in your socks and your boots and on your pants, it just seems to have stayed behind. Except that smell that seems to be sort of wafting off.
Awesome. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna go and find find the rest of my group and just be like, "Don't touch me! Don't come anywhere near me."
Sure.
I assume Liam's barging back down by this point anyway, right?
Liam will just put his gas mask down. Oh shit, Kenny, you fucking drop a deuce in your pants.
See, this is why we properly analyze before going headlong into situations.
I'm sorry. I opened a breaker box.
Mm.
My thought process was there would be electrical stuff in there, not this not goo that just went everywhere. If you've got like, I don't know, some files or some petri dishes that you can take some samples with.
Yeah, I'm trying to deal with the smell. And I'll start digging through my bags and finding capsules and stuff like that to take samples.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You can take samples. Yeah.
And Zach will definitely help, just kind of grabbing things and handing them to Zura so that she can have her hands free to do whatever she needs to do and is less likely to be contaminated herself.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, I assume everyone who is handling this is going to be gloved.
Yeah, gloves.
Right? Yeah.
We're the scientists. We have the gloves.
Wonderful.
I'm wholly unconcerned with this development, and I'm going to go walk past all of this and just take a look at that archway that's been chalked into the wall.
Sure, absolutely. As you get closer, and you start like really inspecting it, you can see that what originally just kind of looked like a like horrid sketched outline of an arc is actually incredibly intricate and detailed. What from like far back looks like just a bunch of hurried lines are these small, intricate looking symbols that seem to be just sort of drawn on top of each other to create that sort of sketched out pattern that the arc is comprised of. It had to have taken hours to put this together. There's no bees there. None of them are they're all uniform. They're all exact.
Dr. Ryan, would you come look at this? Here's some more strange symbols. A
And
lot of
Zach,
them.
Zach looks at Zura and says, "You need my help, or could I step away?"
You should be fine. Just let me know if you need my help over there after this.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I don't need to say it, but be careful.
Of course,
Stop.
yes.
Take my socks off, and I'm just kind of wringing them out.
No.
We need to get you a disinfectant shower.
Oh, I've got disinfectant. Don't worry.
I'm sure the room we
Not
picked in
enough.
upstairs has a shower.
Yes, but
Yeah,
heavy chemicals. Chemical
yes.
shower.
Well, this is horrifying. Yes, Zura, let me know if you need anything. And then he's going to join Hev over by the arch to see if he can make sense of any of the symbols that he's seeing there. And I think he might, just for the sake of taking out one of his meters, maybe take out his EMF meter just to see if it registers anything as he's looking at it.
Okay. What I would like for you to do first is I would like you to roll me an ancient languages, and I would
Okay.
like you to remind me real quick what ancient languages Dr. Ryan knows.
Yes, I believe it was Aramaic, Greek, and Latin.
All right. Why don't you add one extra of whatever your highest die is to your pool? So after you assemble your 4 dice, add one more. You're gonna go.
Sweet. All right.
Is there any way that my occult knowledge might assist in this?
Absolutely, yes. I know there is a rule for assisting in a check. Give me one moment to double check it.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to be needed, but that was several exploding dice
Nice.
leading to a. Now I have to, of course, find my ancient languages, leading to a 22.8.
Okay, so I think for the sake of time for now, we will say that you were able to help. The two of you were able to sort of throw things back and forth a bit to put this together. It is in fact ancient Aramaic. Although it's strange because it's some of the letters seem misshapen. They clearly are representative of what you know of the language, but some of them are just not the traditional like forms you expect to see them taking. And they, again, as Hev can attest, these are clearly very, very carefully put together. So whatever mistakes there are, or differences or variations, are clearly done with purpose. But what it roughly translates out to is the gate, the door, the path, the throne. And it seems to be repeated over and over again, just layered on top of each other over and over through the whole arch. And Agent Hart, I think this is going to remind you of a situation from your past. I believe that there was one job that you were on a number of years ago where you were asked to procure something. And in order to get it, you found yourself in a fairly well known, at least in the circles you were working with at the time, cult known as the Children of the Earth. And it was an Israeli cult that had been under the assumption that they had been communicated to by Hashem, the Jewish concept of God, that was leading them towards the second coming of the prophet Elijah. And what it turned out to be in that instance was that they were under the effects of the particular object that you were there to procure. The specifics of which you never really found out because you didn't have the opportunity to do much beyond getting the object and getting it to the person you had been asked to get it.
Yeah, that's not my job. I'm just procurement.
Exactly. But this was something that you had come across then as well, that they had set up over the door to their temple, their primary temple.
Was there a particular way that it was interfaced with?
Not from what you understood. It was just why don't we say let's roll an investigate int.
All right.
And we'll see if that was something that you ever encountered.
Intelligence is 3d8.
Yay for useful flashbacks.
Not one of my biggest dice pools, but I got a nice bonus to it. A bit. What do we got here? If I can manage to roll anything tonight. Oy. That is 7.9. I rolled trash.
Yeah, I don't think you ever were given any information about what it was or how it was to be interacted or interfaced. Just that it was very important it existed.
Okay. Did I get the understanding that it was two-way, one-way? Was there an association with a specific time or countdown for when it became useful?
No.
Okay. It looks familiar. That's all I got. Okay.
Pretty much.
Agent Hart, do you think we should ask Mr. Moore who created this? If he's been down here this often, that might be something he knows.
Did we not ask about that before?
I couldn't remember.
Feel like I asked about it and got a vague response, but I don't remember because it's been 2 very whole weeks since then.
I don't believe that he had the information on who had done it.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, it was just another remark like, "Oh, there's other artists in the building" or something. Like
yeah, it was something to that effect.
Okay.
How much
I do
longer
believe
until nightfall?
Looking at your watch or your phone or whatever device you would like, probably only a couple of minutes, only like 5-10 minutes until complete nightfall.
That is an excellent point. He was quite he was under the impression that he needed to leave by nightfall, and this could have something to do with it. Unfortunately, he didn't seem to know anything about this gateway. There are plenty of other people in the building, though.
I do not believe we have enough time to set up any sort of surveillance equipment. Do we?
No, definitely.
I'm not one to leave behind something awfully suspicious without some eyes on it.
Yeah, it's modern day. Cameras are tiny now. Yeah, Hev reaches into his pocket of holding that he keeps pulling stuff out of, and I have a night vision camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to turn it on, put it down on the floor on the opposite side of the doorway, and just leave it there.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't we rather have it in the room? Isn't there another door?
In the room with the paintings.
I would assume that's where they're gonna gather, if they're gonna gather anywhere.
They might gather under the arch. I mean, I think it would be important to have, if we only can choose, I think that might be an important area to be surveilling.
And then you'll just hear a voice going, less discussion, more movement.
All right,
All right.
everybody
I
else.
will also take out my snake cam and put it underneath the door. And now that door has been closed and locked by Mr. Moore.
Correct.
So I'm going to put it down underneath the door, put it right up against the side with the hinges, and take some tape I have and tape it down real tight against that crease, so it would be hard to detect.
Absolutely love it. Oh, yes. Please.
I would love to do a science type roll on the goop I have been gathering. Also, would the foundation have given us anything to set up like a temporary chemical shower in case of these situations?
I don't. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think there's a kit that they would give you, probably would have had included in your field, like gear that you could use to set up a chemical shower.
Probably in the SUV we took.
Yeah. So that you would be able to do that.
Liam and I are on the same page, and we are slowly ushering people towards the exit.
Yeah.
We're not staying here overnight. Absolutely not.
I've likely collected all my samples from Jackson at this point, so I'm just kind of letting him walk and cataloging everything.
And I will relay everything I saw to Zura. So all the like minute detail, the weird objects, like a proper description of the room, and specifically focusing on like the smells and the weirdness of the liquid as it flowed out.
Sure. Actually, if you motion towards or otherwise point to the room, calling attention back to it, the acre is gone, and there is quite honestly no evidence that it ever existed. The floor seems dry. The like brick walls are completely clean. Nothing persists of it.
How very peculiar.
Yeah. And what's in the kind of petri dishes is still there. That hasn't just vanished, has it?
Yes, that is still there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, didn't make it up. Good. Yeah.
And Zura, what you can do if you'd like, you will have to probably go back to the SUV to get some stuff. But you will be able to roll me a science int check to see what you can find.
Exactly what I wanted.
Wonderful. Yeah, we can absolutely make.
All right.
Now, is everybody leaving at the same time? Are you all sort of making your way out of the... All right. So two things happen. First is... I couldn't make it that easy. The first is Agent Hart. You begin to hear two things. You begin to hear that crackling fire begin to grow louder again in your head as you turn away. And you begin to hear a chorus of voices chanting the 4 terms on the arch. Very quietly at first. But then it begins to grow louder. Louder. And louder. Almost as if you were standing in the middle of a crowd of at least 100 people chanting words over and over. And for the rest of you, you hear what sounds like cracking noises, stone breaking behind you. Looking back, if anyone does, may not assume. Looking back, you can each see each of those sort of what, again, from a distance look like just etched on lines begin to crack one by one, deep. And the stone that is being separated from itself by these cracks melts, not crumbles, not breaks down, literally seems to liquefy. And as it does, what should be pooling on the floor just seems to not exist. It's just gone. And after a minute or two, there is just an open archway in the wall. And beyond it, a long corridor with torches set up on either side, all the way down, flickering this red and orange light. And another arch at the end. And beyond that, you cannot tell.
Liam's gun has never been removed from his back as quickly as it has been right now. And he is taking up the rear and with his front towards the door, backing up with everyone going up behind him.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm taking point then, and will have my pistol out and being very aware of any potential threats in front of us.
Now, Mr. MacCern, it looks like a door has been graciously opened for us. It would be rude not to enter.
There is a very slow turn. As the gas mask turns to look up at Agent Hart. Are you fucking out of your mind?
What I'm paid for. I straighten
Get
my
the fuck
tie
upstairs.
and walk towards the archway.
Are you? What? You will have to go through me to do that, and I'm going to stop it.
So are you you're stepping out in front of him to like body block him?
Yes.
Agent Hart, how do you react?
I'll stand there for a moment. Square off.
Ooh.
I don't see any flood of demons pouring out of this archway now, do you?
No, but I do remember a few different episodes of SCP exploration where going into random things didn't really turn out well for you.
Well, I can't speak much to the competence of previous Foundation activities, but if a doorway's been opened, there has to be somebody in there looking to communicate. We could sit here and watch our cameras all night, or we could actually be proactive and look into this ourselves.
Liam is going to just stand there and say again, go upstairs.
What is everyone else doing while this?
Zach has been, I feel like ever since Liam joined us, like Zach is constantly looking back and forth between Hev and Liam to kind of figure out where he's getting his orders from. And so I feel like he's just been watching this. Like, he doesn't really have any stake in who ends up winning out, but he's just kind of like, here are my two father figures. What's going to happen next?
I'm heading for the fan with Zura, I assume, because
Yep.
I still like, nah. This is probably I desperately need to be decontaminated.
Yeah, and Zoro's of the opinion that like one of our members was just hacked, and we need to like regroup, deal with it medically before going further.
I can
Love it. So yeah, so the way I see it here is it's just there's this like intense moment between them and Dr. Ryan sort of. And Jackson and Zura are just like, well, we have other things to do anyway.
Mhm.
Love
I
it.
assume she hasn't even seen the footage of the door opening or anything like that. Like
Ooh,
in my
they're
mind,
just,
we were
like,
already on
already-
our way.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I agree, because I'd have been concentrating on what was in front of us, confident that Liam could handle whatever was behind us.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah, but I'm not dealing with what's behind me. I'm dealing with this fucking idiot.
All right. I'm going to take a business card out of my coat with a number for one of my burner phones, cock an eyebrow, and just flick it past his shoulders.
like
Turn around.
into the arch.
Yep.
Love it.
And turn around.
Oh my God.
All right. I didn't know the GOC was so timid. I'll make my way outside.
Liam will stand there for a second. And there's an obvious exude of rage. And as soon as they get up the ramp, Liam will turn, lock the door, and then spin and clock Hart right in the face.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely expecting that.
So I'm going to leave this entirely up to you, Jack. Is Hart going to attempt to protect himself? Would he be ready for this? Does he see it coming? Or is
This, as I said, everything is going exactly according to plan. This was exactly what he was hoping to happen. Hev is an accomplished martial artist. He was expecting this. He's going to roll with it. He's going to follow through with the leverage, and he's going to try to flip Kern past him.
ooh,
Oh my God.
wonderful. Oh, inter-party drama is always so beautiful. Okay.
So the first fight we get into, not with any entities or
Oh.
bad guys, it's with ourselves. Amazing.
Yep.
Incredible.
Some people make friends by punching each other. I mean, come on, we've all seen
Especially
Fight Club.
Scott's
Yeah.
So wonderful. So yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have both of you roll me a. You're trying to flip him, you said, right?
Something to that effect.
Okay. Then why don't you roll me a throw dex, a catch throw dex?
Am I rolling to punch?
I would have. I took that to mean more like throwing knives, throwing grenades, lobbing things.
Oh, you know what? That is totally accurate. Okay, so I'm going to give you the option of either rolling melee or wrestle.
Hmm.
If you're trying to sort of like catch his arm and throw him to the ground, I would say it's going to be like a wrestle. If you're just trying to sort of return fire, then it would be a.
Yeah, I don't think there's any intent to prolong the engagement or to contain the problem. I think this is a very standard martial arts move of connect, repost, and push. So I'm thinking more basic melee for martial arts.
Okay, sure, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And you, Liam, you will be rolling. Since Hev is. Oh, hang on. We have an exertion coming in. Oh, cool, JD. You get exertion. Congratulations. So
See,
since
here I thought somebody was going to take sides.
yeah, so did I. I'm like, our chat is gonna double down on one of y'all. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is, since Hev is kind of taking that first hit and is trying to fire back, so Hev, you're gonna be rolling Dex plus melee. Liam, I would like you to roll Dex plus block.
I'm throwing a punch. How am I blocking?
Well, you threw your punch that connected, and this is Hev reacting to that. This is firing back.
All right. So what do you want me to roll?
Uh,
Dex plus what?
Dex plus dodge.
All right.
When do we get exertion? What triggers getting more exertion?
You get exertion. You gain exertion through spending XP, or when there are, I believe, narrative moments when it is something that you gain. As I understand it.
I got a 17.9.
I'm just trying to remember the difference between that and reverence as far as refill and gaining.
Reverence gets you fun stuff.
Yeah.
Exertion just.
I won't get too bogged down on it. I would have spent it if it was something that I knew I would be getting back from my copious amounts of detrimental role play. But if that's not the case, I will save it for something that's actually important. Okay. That is an exploding 10.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I rolled 2 1s as well, but I will roll my d12. Okay. That is a 23.1.
And Liam, what did you roll?
17.9.
Okay. So I'm not gonna take us through doing like damage or anything right now because I'm making the assumption that neither of you are in this attempting to kill, maim, or otherwise like seriously injure one another. But obviously this will have if you'd like to narrate how this particular action resolves, and then we'll go.
Yeah, no, the camera can follow Hev as he turns and walks back up, and there's just this smirk on his face, and he's got his we can see the glasses can go down in a cool anime moment, and you can see his he's looking off to the corner, just taking in his surroundings, listening to things. He knows this is coming, and I think he spins with hearing that approach, takes the punch on the jaw, but flows with it. Turns, grabs the arm, throws it forward, locks the leg with his knee, and just flips and pushes. It straightens up.
Yeah, and I think the impact of Liam going down is probably loud enough to get the attention of Zura and Jackson. Probably.
Very good, Lieutenant. Very good. It's good to know you have some fight in you.
I look to Kennedy. I'm just like, what was that?
It's also good you know I have some fight in me.
Liam will slowly stand up, look back at Hart, and go, "That's true. But it's also very good to know when to fight. And right now we had 2 members leaving, and you wanted to go into a dark alleyway that opened up on its own. Are you mad?"
Sounds important to me. We both have 2 very different ways of handling our respective jobs, and I suggest we stick to those 2 very different ways. but we should allow each other to thrive in what we actually thrive in.
So what is your suggestion? You go in there alone?
Well, our good Dr. Ryan seems to have proven a good head on his shoulders.
I'm not letting a battle newbie
It's
into
always
such a
battle
situation.
this and danger assessment that. We have no reason to believe this is a hostile entity.
We have no reason to believe it isn't.
No, but it's hard to have a conversation in good faith when you're at each other's throats from the beginning.
Liam will turn to Dr. Zachary and say, do what you want, lad, but I wouldn't trust him if I were you. And walks back to the van.
And I think Zach just kind of stands there for a moment, glances over his shoulder at where Liam has walked off, looks back at Hev and says, look, I'm all for investigating a mystery, but even I'm not stupid enough to go down a tunnel that just appeared out of nowhere with no backup. I don't know a lot, but I don't want to see you or anyone else in the team get hurt. And I've seen what can happen to people in situations like this.
Well, it sounds reasonable to me when you put it that way. Unfortunately, our backup has been a bit touchy. Go,
Yeah,
go
that's for
tend to your
sure.
other doctor friend. I'll wait here. I'll reach in my jacket and pull out what looks like a cigarette, light it, and just lean up next to the door.
Also,
Try to keep an ear out.
Jack, thanks to Ty over in chat, you have gained some exertion.
All right, somebody's choosing sides. Thank you, Ty. Love it.
And I think what we're going to do is take our break a little bit early this week because this seems like a natural pausing. So we're going to take about 10, 15 minutes, go use the bathroom, get some water, grab a snack, stretch out, do whatever we're going to do. But we'll be back, and you should too, for the rest of this episode of A Crumbling Foundation. We'll see you soon. All right, and we're back with our second half of a Crumbling Foundation. We're coming back to a hydrate check, so we're gonna resolve that real quick. Thanks, Joe. Cheers. Okay, and then one thing I want to go over, because I did not go over it at the beginning, and I am terribly sorry about that, is obviously being an SCP game, there are and will be horror elements. That will include a number of things like religious ideology. You will also see a number of unsettling personal horror elements. There may be some elements of self-harm in this or the next episode, and I do deeply apologize for not going over that at the beginning. This is something we strive to make sure everyone is aware of before we get started into anything, so I wanted to update that now and make sure everyone's aware. With that, we will be getting back to our episode. When we last left off, we had just had a bit of an altercation between Agent Hart and Lieutenant MacCern, that ended with a quick exchange of physicality. And I think when we rejoin the group, we will be bringing our focus first into Dr. Von Brandt and Jackson. And I remember, Dr. Ryan, you had also been heading over there, correct?
I was still over with Hev and Liam, so yeah, I would be trailing behind Liam after and probably before Hev.
Great. Okay. So, Zura, did you make that science roll for me? I believe you did before the break, right? You are muted.
Goodness. I was holding down my push to talk key, and this isn't that program. So here we go. Yes, I did. And it was a 21.4 for a science roll.
Ooh, very awesome. Okay, and I think whereas there will be times when you're making these checks that it will be a slightly longer process, as there are a number of things to go through and you have to wait for certain results to come in. One of the things that you will immediately get back from one of the like quick test kits, because I assume you've got a number of different tests that you're going to be running on this, is that at least some amount of whatever this ichor is does contain human blood. In fact, most of it is human blood.
I would like to actually, this is obviously a later on thing, but cross-reference the DNA from the party here, see if any of our blood, specifically if it is a replication of Jackson's blood.
Absolutely. What you can do is, if you'd like, you can take that and you can put it in to run the sample, and it will take a while for you to get any hits back one way or the other. That's a process we can start now. And
I assume our blood is on record for the Foundation. So
Jackson's just literally just stripped off. No, just like get it all off, get in the chemical shower as quickly as possible.
I am so focused on what I'm doing that I don't even notice.
No,
you just like
it's just like
off clothing.
Have you guys taken this inside an apartment, or are you guys just deconning out in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
I imagine there's a little curtain that we can set up.
Yeah.
Cool. No calls for mass panic here. Everybody just go back to business.
Yeah, I mean
it's definitely not anthrax.
Yeah. Have Zach, Liam, the three of you will notice that there are definitely people who are like stopping and like looking at this, and there is kind of I wouldn't say a large crowd, but it's noticeable that there are people occasionally sort of stopping and being concerned. No one's approached any of you.
As Liam,
if I notice that, can I say, "Oh, sorry, a sewer line exploded"? Because he smells, right? He smells really bad.
He does, yeah. You absolutely can. I'm gonna have you roll me for that though. We're gonna do a acting lie charisma check.
I was thinking something along the same line. Could I, if not assist with that, kind of like take that and run with it, being the face guy of the group?
Sure, yeah. Like I can like absently mention it, and you can just take it and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd
I mean,
like.
I don't want to take away from Zura's moment, but
Oh please!
okay.
I only have a D8 in
Yeah.
charisma, so
Yeah,
it.
as long as Zoe's cool with it, I love moments like these. We
Yeah.
can absolutely do that. Where it's like, Zura, maybe you just kind of like poke your head out and you're like, yeah, no, like a sewer line broke, it's fine. Have you just like jump on it?
Everything's all right, folks. Everything is fine. No need for concern. As my colleague said, there was a bit of a ruptured sewer line. We are looking into it. Obviously, the state and your local governance places a deep concern on the quality of life here, and we are simply taking all the precautions necessary to get this sorted out as quickly as possible for all of you. Please move about your business. We will have this properly marked off shortly.
Before we get too far forward, I want to rewind a little bit.
Yeah, what's up?
As Liam got to the van, he took off his mask, put it on the hood of the car, lit up a cigar, and sees that Ryan is coming with him. And as soon as MacCern sees that, he kind of gives a very pleased smile and a nod towards the lad and goes back to smoking.
And I think Zach, I actually think initially like Zach almost doesn't notice that, and because he looks somewhat lost in his thoughts, but then kind of catches the movement and then nods back at Liam, definitely not grasping the weight of what that gesture could mean.
He's not as dumb as he looks.
What I'm gonna so Hev, I'm gonna have you roll the acting lie charisma check.
All right. That is charisma. I have a few dice in that.
Nice.
One or two, right?
It's
In
just a
sharp
couple.
contrast to me, like none.
Doctors have like very. I've got one as well, so
You don't need bedside manner. Who needs?
no.
Yeah.
You're a
Alright.
field medic, right? A doctor helps you
absolutely,
get
it's like-
better. A medic just makes you comfortable while you die. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You'll survive. You'll survive. No chance. You'll survive.
Well, my D8 exploded. I rolled another D10, so
Nice.
that is a 18.9.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Everyone seems to be totally on board with what you're saying. You hear one of the voices from the crowd just like, man, they gotta fix these damn sewers. They're just lines popping everywhere, man. Come on. How much we pay in taxes for this bullshit?
Does this guy sound like somebody who is gonna hang around and gawk and keep up this conversation?
No, it doesn't
Or is he just
seem-
passing by?
No, he's just passing by. He's just passing by looking for something to complain about.
Can I appropriate anything? I can like make a quick like standy sign or like post something on a tree or something.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Again, I figure that's the kind of thing that you definitely would have access to,
Yeah.
in your like field bags or in the car or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. What
Yeah,
exactly? would you
I'll
like-
do that. Put a couple flyers out in the general area, and then I will go back and lean up against the door.
for the car.
No, lean up near the
By
basement door,
okay.
keep an ear out on anything.
So I'll poke my head out of the shower and just go. So, Doc, what's the news? Am I gonna die from this?
Oh, I have no idea, but curiously, it
Good, well,
contains
Great.
it contains quite a lot of human blood. The sewage. I think just in case somebody heard me say that.
Have we got the girl's DNA on file?
Sure.
Maybe run it against hers, because
Oh,
Done.
sure, yes. That's a good idea. I was running it against yours, actually.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there was a lot in there. Like a up to my shins kind of lot in there.
Hmm. To be fair though, as of yet, I have not found anything corrosive or of that nature that would directly harm you, but like these sorts of things take time.
Yeah, I mean, I might die. We just haven't got that test back yet. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I hate this job
you've
some days.
worked in our foundation for a while, so I assume you know how this goes.
Yeah, I've worked mainly. People come to me and I sort them out. I don't generally get covered in sewage blood. This is a first for me.
I mean, it is New York City. It's probably just the rat blood.
That makes me feel so much better.
Thought it might.
Well, I'll pop my head back in and just vigorously, you just scrubbing every inch as possible.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah. And I will make a point to note that, like, when you get like your boots and your socks and stuff off, there's like clearly a bunch of this stuff kind of caked on your feet, but it comes off with some like light scrubbing. Dr. Ryan, Agent Hart, what are the two of you getting? I know, Agent Hart, you said you were going to be leaning up against the basement door. I assume, sort of trying to call attention to potentially venturing back in.
Well, it's locked. I don't have the key. I'm not going to be so overt to try to pick it just right here. I'm largely just leaning against the door, seeing if I can hear anything coming out from within, see if I hear anyone coming out of that hallway, see if I hear some big lion's roar. But just keeping my ear out in that direction and just surveying the area and see if Mufasa popped back up somewhere.
So as you approach the door, actually, you begin to hear that chanting again from earlier. And the closer that you get to the door, the louder it gets. Until again, as you're leaning against it, now it sounds where before it seemed like you were sort of surrounded by these people. Now it seems like you're on the outside, just maybe 10-15 feet away, as this chanting persists over and over and over. And it's been going on for a while, and you've kind of gotten to a point where you can almost sort of push it down in your head a bit, but it's still there, along with the crackling flame. It's still there. And you can't help but feel like those eyes are still on you from the painting. Even though geometry dictates there's no possible way for this thing to still be looking at you, you can feel it so clearly. Its eyes just burning into you. And beckoning you. Calling you.
Yeah, I definitely do think about just trying to get through the door, and we'll see if it comes to that. But for now, I will take a puff on this apparent cigarette and take out my brand new Samsung flip phone and just open it up to a blank text message and just write out hello and just kind of stand there for a bit.
Interesting. Zura, so as you're sitting there sort of waiting for the results of this to come in, something catches the corner of your eye. Again, that's not strange for you, though, is it?
Not at this point, no.
But this figure, this tall, clawed, painted figure, seems to be walking away from you, walking away from the van. It
Towards the apartment?
towards the basement.
Oh.
It stops for a moment and looks back at you, head twisting at an impossible angle, but fluidly. And then it turns back and walks over to Hev and just sort of hovers over where you see Agent Hart holding out his phone.
Oh, put that away. Put your phone away, please. Like, Hart, please. I'm going to run over there and smash his phone if he doesn't put it away.
You run
at
over and
this-
I'll flip it down. Is there a problem, Doctor?
Yes.
Liam's eyes slowly turn to Zura.
I am working on a project that infects phones and technology.
Really?
And I'm going to turn
Fascinating.
to this thing and I'm going to sign to it, please don't use his phone. Whether or not this creature understands me, but I'm trying to more or less keep it contained.
And it sort of turns its head to look at you, still towering over Hev. And then it just sort of begins to walk towards the wall and past it. It's gone.
This is a burner phone. It's
I know.
Is this the same project you were talking to me about earlier?
Yes, it is. If it uses a burner phone, the incubation period, you should be fine. But still, it's a concern.
Is this going to be a problem? We are generally fairly reliant on technology out in the field.
There is no precedence for what just happened, and I may be jumping the gun.
What just happened?
The tag along I have
Liam will
can
cut
only
in.
be
Liam will
seen.
cut in like at that point and go. Zura has a special project she's working on. It's nothing for you to be worried about, Hart. I'm sure that we will deal with it when we return.
I'm surprised you of all people would be so laxed in this. You speak so cautiously about sticking together and understanding threats.
He's not happy about it. I just haven't been able to get in serious trouble yet. We've been busy.
I assume the Foundation knows about this little project of yours and cleared you for field duty.
Yes. They wouldn't have sent again, like this, there's no precedence for what I think just happened. May I see your phone? Okay.
Go
And
ahead.
I flip it open. Did my tag along send me an image or have an image? Okay.
No.
I close it. You're clean.
Just about as you say that, your phone notification goes off.
Whose?
Zura's.
I pull my phone out because my phone shouldn't actually be infected, but I look at it.
And you see, you do have a new message. You have what looks like a picture from a night vision camera. And you
Is-
can It's a bit fuzzy, but you can make out the arch. And standing about 10 feet past it, down into that torchlit hallway, is your friend.
This phone now needs to be thrown out, but I close it. Actually, it needs to be cataloged, but I basically turn to the group. No one touch my phone from this point on.
A new development, I take.
Yes. It seemed as though the tag along listened. So
Listen to what?
what I just asked. I signed to it. If you want to trust it, it wants us to go through the archway, which is exceedingly dangerous.
Well, it sounds like your imaginary friend has a good idea.
Just to be absolutely fair and to the point, I am not against going into the archway. I'm afraid of leaving people behind, Hart.
Well, once Kennedy is done with his bath time, we can get back to our investigation.
Indeed.
I'll poke my head out of the van, just kind of pulling on a fresh shirt and just like, I'm absolutely opposed to going through a magical hallway which wasn't there with no knowledge of where we're going to end up when we're here to find a missing girl and we've got plenty of other things to investigate before we do something.
She could very well be down that hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Hart, have you been keeping an eye on the cameras you left there?
I know we said previously that the snake cam does connect Bluetooth to my phone.
Mhm.
Would you allow the same thing for the night vision camera?
Yeah,
or is that-
absolutely.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Also, real quick, we have a hydrate. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hydration.
Thanks, Ty.
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
Sure. So looking at each of these, are you looking at both? Are you just looking at the night vision one, or
I'll flip back and forth, see what either are up to.
Okay. So the hallway seems unchanged for the most part. The torches are still sort of flickering, but there doesn't seem to be anyone moving or any activity or anything that has changed since it appeared. The other camera, however, again, immediately switching to it, the first thing that you notice is those eyes. And now it seems as though something in the painting has changed. The lion's head now has these strange sort of lines drawn through parts of it as though sort of separating them, which has given it a much less organic look, which has made it look a bit more like it might be a mask or a headpiece. But other than that, everything else seems the same.
What kind of lines are you?
It looks like grooves, sort of like grooves that go all the way down.
Like seams?
Yes, like seams. Yeah.
Okay. Do I still see Hart and car keys?
You do?
Okay. I'll flip my phone around. What do we make of this?
The rest of you, painting looks perfectly well. For those of you who have seen it, at least. So, Dr. Ryan, for you, painting looks exactly the same as it did when you first walked in. For the rest of you, this is your first time getting a good look at it. I know Liam, Jackson, you guys had kind of a semi view from out in the outside room, but this is your first time really getting to see the details of this very well dressed lion headed gentleman arms outstretched with just unpainted nothingness, just canvas, where whatever would be in his hand.
And so
This
Zach
is
Zach looks at that and then kind of glances up at Hev and says, "It looks like it did when we walked in.
Interesting.
Does it not look that way to you?"
Oh, no, it seems to be reaching out.
What's changed?
In one hand, it holds a representation of a heart, and the other a representation of my car keys. It seems it's taken the opportunity to... I took the opportunity to try to address it, and this looks like reciprocity to me. Doesn't feel like a threat. Not entirely.
Except for the blood that was coming from your nose, perhaps.
A fairly common reaction to our line of work, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't be the first time. The lion's head looks a bit more like a mask now, too. Perhaps things are progressing, or perhaps it is opening up and willing to show me a little bit more of what's behind it. Could be interpreted a number of different ways. It is progress one way or the other.
Is that are we thinking that's a good thing? I mean, the last person that saw this is, the person who disappeared.
The last person who saw this wasn't trained in the occult and doesn't have years of SCP procurement and containment experience.
But they could have been turned into a river sewage of blood. Just something to think about.
Speaking of which, any update on that, Zura?
I will look at the computer, but I am preoccupied with putting my phone in a bag that has a SCP label on it. Let me see. And are there any more results on this blood?
So glancing back at the computer, you have gotten a couple of results in. It can confirm that it is not any of your blood.
Okay.
It is actively running matches against tenants in the building currently. But one of the hits that you get is that it does contain a lot of similar genetic markers to Charlotte. There is I'd say at this point, a 76% match, which would lead you to believe that, while it is very likely that her blood is in this, it is probably not the only genetic material, or hers is probably not the only genetic material.
At that discovery, I look up to Jackson and I'm like, Kennedy, it seems as though you're correct. This is 76% match for Charlotte.
So
there's other markers as well, like multiple individuals, I would say, but this mostly who we're looking for.
And just with the sheer amount, she couldn't have survived that.
I don't believe that was from her, but created of her, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of weird anomalies in it, but I could be wrong. Like, I can only speculate on these.
So like a synthesized byproduct of her blood in some way, or?
Well, yes, you mentioned there were metal bones amongst it as well. It seems as though
Fashioned in that kind of way, yeah. Controlling the circuit breakers. Could this... We know that there's no power going to this building externally. Are they drawing power through people's blood in some kind of... I don't know. Is that possible?
it's a wild conclusion. Definitely need more data before I can confirm anything like that.
Just to clarify, all of the other apartments do have normal utilities, right? Or is everyone getting free stuff?
Everyone is getting free stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because she's kind of like busy talking about this to all of you, she doesn't think about it and just kind of writes it on the bag like she has like many times before, SCP-1471-341. And then she puts her phone aside.
Well, I think we need to discuss our next plans of action. I'm sure everyone already knows what Hart wants to do. Kennedy, you are on the opposite end of that spectrum. What about you two?
Like I said to Agent Hart earlier, I'm not necessarily opposed to investigating, but I also don't want to put anyone in this team in unnecessary danger. So I think, given the military experience that you, Lieutenant, and you, Captain, have,
It's
I defer to you.
it's not Captain. Just Jackson.
Okay, my apologies, Jackson. But yeah, I defer to you.
Zura?
My opinion at this point is that the door needs, or this hallway, this sketch, needs to be investigated.
Mr. Hart, I assume you don't have any sort of drone you can send through that hallway, do you?
I do.
I think that would be a more pertinent and ideal idea.
Well,
Hevard.
it's less personal than would be polite, but I suppose it's a compromise.
Question for you. We got here via unusual means from the base hub, yeah? Do we know how that actually works?
Not particularly, no. None of you
But-
are privy to any particulars on that beyond it exists. You can get from point A to point B as needed, and that's it.
Going to require quite a lot of energy in some way to do that, I would guess. What if that's what we're seeing here? What if it requires a lot of energy to open this door to wherever it goes, and it's going to take you somewhere, well, maybe not even on this planet.
That's
Would
why I
you-
Most
suggest
likely.
we send a drone and not send one of us or the whole group down the hallway.
Would you like wild speculation?
I love
Hmm.
wild speculation.
Charlotte's room, my first thought of it was someone using their art, their abilities to communicate something. While I did not see this painting you spoke of until now, it seems to have affected some of you in much the same way, as it is a communication of some sort. As well, the archway. It feels as though whatever this is using people, using art to convey a message.
Yes.
Well,
Was that the end of the thought? Because I
Well-
think we were already there.
Yes, well, I figured someone should say it out loud, but it is also, as I said, wild speculation.
The speculation or not, I think we should set up for that expedition expeditiously.
What
So-
I find interesting, sorry, Doctor.
No, go ahead, Agent Hart.
What I find interesting is that our new friend, Mr. Moore, seemed to indicate that Charlotte had 6 doses of this painting before she disappeared. However, she disappeared, what, 4 months back, and he claims he finished this piece of art a week ago.
So she saw it unfinished then?
He said she was recently enlightened.
Mhm.
Not
And
sure which of the two were enlightened first. My guess would be her.
I
We can't,
mean,
we can't bar out that these tenants are somehow involved or infected with whatsoever's going on.
but that's
Huh.
strange because I mean, Mr. Moore made it clear not to be in the basement after dark, and it seems like he's followed that rule. I mean, there's a lot going on that doesn't seem to line up with time. Like there were things that you mentioned with like the bills in the mailbox, and then I know Zura, you were looking at the meat in the fridge, and just a lot of things that just don't make sense if we're trying to create a timeline, which is of course the first thing you do when somebody disappears.
Unfortunately, in this line of work, timelines get a little wibbly wobbly. Time doesn't always flow in the same direction or speed
Mhm.
everywhere,
It does
Despite-
seem as though. Go ahead.
despite common belief. No, do continue, Doctor.
It does seem as though, granted, the meat and the disappearance things are a little out of whack for this building. I would suggest, with the lion painting, that we cover it up, limit exposure.
Would it make sense to get it removed and secured by the organization?
Well, I think that's why we're here.
I
So-
think once we have a better grasp of what is going on here, we should certainly try to secure and contain that. However, it does seem to me, at the very least, that it is reaching out for communication. So I think obstructing or destroying it would come across a bit rude.
And we wouldn't want that. Just one other question. Did you, when you got a good look at it, did you see what it was made with? Paints, oils, watercolors?
At that moment, have you feel a very slight vibration in your pocket?
I'm not going to react immediately.
Sure.
But the painting, did it look like oil acrylic?
Yeah, it just looked like traditional like acrylic paint.
Looked like standard acrylic paints.
No goopy, bloody kind of substance that stank or anything along those lines?
No,
Not from
nothing
my
like
eyes.
that.
No, yeah. You kind of think strange painting in blood.
We could attempt to chip some of it off and get it analyzed, but we could also be chipping something away from an individual trying to reach out. And let me also remind, and Mr. Kennedy, you can attest to this at least secondhand, that our new lion friend has been out and about and does not seem to be contained to this building or the formation of that archway.
That is what worries me.
What worries me is the fact, I mean, I guess we don't have enough information to say this, but based on what Mr. Moore said, it seems like something happens here every night. And if that means that this arch opens up every night, that's alarming. Because what's the purpose? I haven't seen anyone come and go on our side. I kind of figured we'd put up some surveillance and see like a cult meeting happening, but nobody's tried to go in there. And
said people, didn't he?
yeah, he said people use that space. And I haven't seen anyone unless someone showed up on the video, Hart.
Okay, so options. Would it make sense to? We haven't finished going through everything in her flat yet. There's still all that stuff on the wall. We don't really know what that's for. Is it worth us holding up there for tonight, studying the strange portal through our surveillance, whilst the rest of us work on whatever was in there, and then pull our evidence and decide what to do next?
My suggestion is this. We send the drone through, see what information we can get from that. While that is being done, we set up an entire surveillance system downstairs. I am against the idea of camping out inside a potential SCP and would heartily suggest that we either camp in the van or somewhere close by. But in the building, I don't know what effects that would have on us, considering every tenant in this place acts a little strange. I don't know what sort of wavelength is causing that to happen.
Maybe just don't drink the water in there.
Or go in shifts.
Well, I do agree that normally this investigation would be something that I'd take a look at over the course of days or weeks. I have a whole list of very interesting people I would like to talk to, very interesting things I would like our doctors here to take a look at. However, a door has been opened for us. We can assume that it opens every night, but it feels like an invitation to me. I'd say we take it. Now, we can send the drone in, see what we can find. But eventually we're going to have to step through.
That's not
Or
a given.
else.
It's not a given yet.
Or else invite whatever is in there out.
No, I don't like that idea either.
No.
I will join you, Hart. Let's set up the drone.
All right.
I guess me and Hart are going to go down into the basement, and
Well, I have to go back to my car
I
and grab the drone, which is good because I want to see what state my car is in.
So you I assume you're taking the walk back on your own to your car.
Unless Liam insists on babysitting.
no, Liam
I
will
won't
be waiting
protest.
at the door of the apartment building.
Yep.
Great. So you make your way back to your car, and upon arriving, there's kind of a, I assume, breath of relief. It seems to be in one piece. Nothing's gone missing. Nothing's been damaged. Seems totally fine. As you use your key fob to undo the lock and open the door, you notice there is a piece of crumpled scrap paper just sort of haphazardly tossed onto the driver's seat.
Okay. Crumpled up piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go around to the passenger side and reach into my glove box and put on a pair of riding gloves. Go back over, take a pen out, and just poke this balled up piece of paper around a little bit. Assuming it doesn't explode or consume my soul, I will pick it up and unravel it and see what it says.
Sure. Yeah, it does not explode. It does not consume your soul. No black holes here.
That you know of.
That at least yet, yeah. You open it, and it's blank. There is no writing. There is no drawing. There is no paint. There is no ink. There is nothing printed on it. It is just a blank scrap of paper.
What quality of paper are we looking at here?
It
Does
seems
it look old?
It does seem old,
Yes.
actually. As you like start to wrinkle it as you unball it, you can tell from the texture of the paper that it's an older paper. Paper produced in the last like 10 or so years tends to have this really like recognizable sort of smoothness to it that maybe closer to like 15 years now. Actually, I'm just old. That older paper didn't have. It had a little bit coarser of a texture based on how it was
Mm-hmm.
created and printed and or not printed, rather, how it was created and packaged and stuff. So this is definitely an older piece of paper.
But we're not talking like papyrus or
No, it's still like
ancient vellum.
modern paper.
Gotcha.
It's just maybe like a decade and a half to 2 decades old paper.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna smooth it out on my car. Take that pen. Write hello.
As you go to write on it, only very small bits of the paper where you are trying to write actually seem to take the ink, leaving little like bits of outline of something maybe, but I'd say 85-90% of what you're trying to write just is lost to it. Nothing.
I take out a lighter, light it up, hold it up behind. I'm not trying to burn the paper, but I'm trying to put heat behind it to see if it reveals anything.
As you do that, you begin to see slowly these brown sort of inset lines begin to appear. It looks at first like the paper is burning, although only portions of it are, as they darken and char, sort of bring themselves around first into a sort of arch, and then more lines begin coming down. And slowly, as these sort of sidelines begin revealing themselves one by one, arcing off of the main arc, you begin to see what looks like a miniature version of the arc from the basement. And then more of these pieces and lines and curves begin to reveal themselves, and you are left with what looks like a representation of that lion's head.
Any particular mood this lion seems to be in?
Smiling ear to ear.
Okay.
And then after a moment of just sort of looking at this, your phone vibrates again.
Oh, yes, I was getting to that. So I will say to this otherwise blank piece of paper, don't worry, my new friend, I will be getting to you shortly, and I will fold it up and put it in my pocket, and I will take out my phone.
And there are 2 messages that you have in your phone. The first is in Hebrew. I believe
That's not
Hev
helpful.
does not speak Hebrew, right?
No.
But there is something just written there in Hebrew. And then
Google Translate.
Sure. Yeah. Google Translate.
I don't need it to be exact.
Yeah. See you soon.
Okay.
Which makes sense because the next message that you have from the same number, which is just a bunch of 6s and 7s and 9s, is see you soon, see you soon, see you soon, see you soon, over and over again in like a big green block.
Written in 6s, 7s, and 9s.
Well, the number that it's coming from.
Oh, the number it's okay.
Is
Gotcha.
just a mix of 6s, 7s, and 9s.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
it just repeats. See you soon.
Yes.
Okay. 6s, 7s, and 9s. We'll put that on the back burner because I know I'm hogging the scene. Don't let me walk away on my own. You'll never get back to we'll never hear from anybody else. I will ponder that for a bit and grab the case for my drone. do another once over of the car, make sure it's all right, see if there's any more hidden things about. Close it up, lock it up, make my way back.
As he's
I will text back. Yes, indeed. I will see you soon.
as he
You
is
hang on
doing
one
all-
moment, Liam.
Right.
1 second. I'm sorry. Immediately upon sending that, you get that error message that you get when you try and just text like a number that doesn't exist. Error message unable to send.
So
Okay.
as he's doing all that, Liam is actually going to return to the van, acting as if he's gathering different pieces of material, ammunition, whatever. But really what he's doing is kind of getting up close to Kennedy and out of the earshot of the doctors, just in case they know what this means, although I doubt they do. Liam will just whisper the words Blue Falcon and then walk back towards the apartment.
What did you call me?
Okay. Yeah, Jackson will kind of just nod and carry on just checking the computer, see if any more information's come back regarding the samples.
So, looking at the computer, you will see that there is a number of results that have come up. In fact, each of the tenants in this building has their genetic material has been found within this acre to some percentage, and it varies from one to the next. But each one of the names that you will recognize immediately as being on the list of tenants are included in this. But none are as high of a percentage as Charlotte Lynn.
I will say, as kind of everyone else is doing what they're doing, I do think Zach will approach Zura and just say, so that's what you've been dealing with these past couple of months, huh?
Yes, I can't say too much about it, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be addressed upon our return to the Foundation.
I'd want to ask how Lieutenant MacCern found out, but I'm guessing even that's classified information.
Intuition.
That's fair. He's very smart.
Yes.
Zealotry hatred of SCPs.
No, he just maybe I gave away too much. I have been a little bit of flinchy, nervous since contact, but who knows?
Are you in a good place for the mission tonight?
I have concerns, to be honest. I would like to call and see if I'm still cleared to do this mission. Physically, I'm fine. Though, if there is a risk of me contaminating the rest of the crew, I would rather that didn't happen.
I mean, I know I don't know the fine details, but it seems to me that if that were a risk, it would have already happened. I mean, we've already been together for a number of hours.
Yes. This is new, though. I'm going to think about calling them.
Yeah, do whatever you need to do, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
If you get any weird messages on your phone, don't answer them, and let me know.
I can do both of those things.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
And I'm guessing, tag and bag if that happens.
Bring it to me and I'll decide whether or not you need to tag and bag.
That's fair.
Yeah. I actually may phone the foundation with this problem. So already bagged my phone. I'll use one of the plentiful burners we have sitting around, apparently. I don't know if it's just Hart that has burners, but it would make sense for us to have burners too.
Yeah, no,
I bought
absolutely.
a whole bunch of burners.
Yeah. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
And I'll connect with whoever is kind of in charge of this project.
Sure. So you're going to be calling Dr. Keith Rubik,
Mm-hmm.
who is kind of the oversight on what you're doing.
Right.
He kind of went to bat for not potentially just sticking you in a containment unit.
Yay! Thank you, Keith.
And so it rings a couple of times, and then there's an automated message where you have to put in like a code and an ID number and whatnot, and then an extension, and then there's another. It's probably like a 15-minute process. But eventually there's that click, and then the very familiar voice goes, "Hello?
Hey, Keith, it's Zura Von Brandt.
Oh, Dr. Brandt. I heard you're out in the field now."
I am. However, the passenger has behaved unexpectedly. It has infected my phone without prompting.
Can you go into a little bit more detail on that?
Yes. Normally, as you're aware of SCP-1471, it will infect a phone with malware and you accept and download the package before it can start to really work its abilities. I did not accept the package on my phone. It just interacted with it.
Oh, that's definitely concerning. We're going to have to look into that. Has it escalated in any way beyond the things we've already documented otherwise? Any direct contact, any communication, any other strange, unique new activities?
Yes. SCP-1471 has always been communicative. It's just difficult to understand it. It has pointed me into several directions during this field work. It has also moved to interact with another agent.
Well, I don't like the sound of that.
No. Surprisingly, I asked SCP-1471 to not, and it stopped, to my knowledge.
That's very strange. Has it listened to you before?
Listen, no, but paid attention, yes. I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm not clear on whether or not it has understood me. I've just used sign language to speak, and SCP-1471 just stares back.
Have the rest of your team been made aware of this?
Unfortunately, yes. It is startling at times, and they picked up on something unusual occurring.
Are you aware if they have the proper clearance to know what they now know?
They should have the clearance. As far as I'm aware, they all have 3 security level 3, which would put it in the purview.
Here's what we're going to do. You're going to keep a detailed report moving forward. I'm going to reach out to a couple of people involved and Director Eden to discuss why it was that you were put on this team and why they felt confident in sending you out in the field. In the meantime, stay safe. Try to be aware of what's going on, what may become an issue, and do your best to stay in contact. I will reach out to you again if and or when there is anything else that needs to be discussed regarding this. And if anything else concerning does happen, please do call and update me immediately.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you for
And-
calling.
Yes, thank you for receiving me. And I sound exceptionally deflated. And even like if anyone's watching, I've been really quiet during this conversation, but they watch, Zura's shoulders just droop like, and she'll hang up and rejoin the group.
How does Zura feel about like physical contact?
A hand on the shoulder would be fine, but
Okay.
like a hug, kind of weird.
That was kind of Zach's instinct because he wasn't going to go in for the hug, but he was just going to put a hand on her shoulder when she rejoined them and just kind of give a squeeze and then let go.
Thank you. It's not great, but I am cleared to continue working. Well, shall we go into the spooky gate? Or at least send a drone in?
I'm back with my drone.
And I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Doc.
I think all Zach says is, yeah, that seems to be the plan.
And I think here is where we're going to end it for tonight. Right on the precipice, seeing what is beyond that arch.
I want more. Give me more.
So
Just
much more.
means I'm doing my job right.
Oh, no, no, no. No.
I mean, we have to wait a week.
Whole week.
I think
I
we'll survive, maybe.
Jackson's okay with that, having been duped on.
for
I love
for
every minute
Jackson.
of this.
Yes, thank you all so much for being here. I really do appreciate so much you amazing folks who are here, both you amazing cast, because seriously, I can't imagine anyone else being here for this. And all of you fantastic people in the chat, keeping things alive, giving some love to our fantastic cast, picking
Choosing the right
sides.
side.
Picking sides, I won't say right or wrong because that would be wrong of me. I'm supposed to be impartial, except when I'm trying to kill them or drive them mad. But I do hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you so much for being here. Real quick, let's go around, remind everyone who you are, what you're up to, where they can find you, all that cool stuff. So we're gonna start with JD.
Hi, I'm JD. Again, I can be found at JD, not Jason Dean, on all social media. You can find me tomorrow night and Wednesday night with Live from the Apocalypse for class reunion, winter break, and Fetch Quest. And then you can find me there again on Sunday and then back here on Monday. So it'll be a packed week with a lot of good stuff. And now I can't wait for next Monday to see where the future takes us next.
Yeah. All right. Al.
Hi, I'm Tal Woodblaze. You can catch me at the Gamers Rest, mainly over on Twitter. I'm a designer of TTRPGs and writer of adventures. You can check out my Ko-fi, which is Gamers Rest, for all the wonderful details, and join up to my monthly subscription.
Jack.
Yes, hello. I am Jack from RPGs Uncovered. You can find me at my newly, much better, appropriately branded channel, twitch.tv/RPGs Uncovered. It's gonna take me, I'm gonna slip up one of these days because I'm so used to saying People's Ascension. But yes, you can follow me on Twitter. It is now at RPGs Uncovered. I have a Hive, which is at RPGs Uncovered. I have a Discord, all kinds of stuff. I'm sure the links are somewhere. Come hang out. We got great stuff going on. Mainly Well, RPGs Uncovered, a series dedicated showing just how quick and easy it is to learn a new RPG, new TTRPG. We will be starting up Cyber Rats, season 4 of that, featuring Cyber Rats in early January. I am going through casting and scheduling right now. If you would be interested in getting into an AP series and exploring a new game, helping teach a new game, you can find out more about that on my Twitter, but I will be closing that down soon. Picking a cast, getting that all set up very shortly, but it's still up if anybody's interested. And then tomorrow over at twitch.tv/Studio Tembo at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, you can find me over there playing some Star Trek Adventures with Star Trek Europa. Completely different energy from Hevard Hart. So if you want to see something completely different from me and you want some nice Star Trek sci-fi utopian adventure to go along with whatever this is, come hang out there because it's a great story. I think that's all I got. This will be getting progressively longer as I start doing more and more things in the new year, and I'm so excited for it. But if I remember the reverse order, I believe that throws it over to the Eye.
I am the Eye, and tonight as I crawl back into my shadows until Lion summons me again, I would like you all to be reminded that I also play Kunskapssucher on Dice Trays Action, who also, as my friend Jack, is completely different from the energy that I put out here. Yeah, that's all. If you want to see me, you watch me here, right here on this channel, Tales from the Table Studio.
And last but certainly not least, Zoe.
Goodness, my turn already. Hi, I'm Zoe or Zoe Trooper. You can find me here with these wonderful people every Monday. Well, not every Monday, but a lot of Mondays. You can also find me in Hollow Haven Studios, where I do a whole bunch of things. I was in a Hunter the Reckoning game, but season 1 has finished. It was an amazing finale. We won. And as much as you can win in tabletop role-playing games. And yeah, you can also find me in the New Year's at Component Cast. So see you there.
Awesome. I'm the Lion Knight 42. I'm Lion. You can find me on Twitter at Lion Knight 42, which I guess I said already. You can also find me here all the time because I am the ridiculous brain behind Tales from the Table Studios. We're going to be back tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. with another episode of Dice Trays Action, a D&D actual play set in the world of Rodane, a homebrew world that I have spent a lot of time creating, and my players are spending quite a lot of time finding ways to destroy. I'm really excited for that. Then we'll be back on Thursday with an episode of Rhaega, Shadow of the Dragon, new episode from another one of our D&D actual plays run by Jack Gogsbane, Jack the Giant's Killer, Jack of Gods and Game Masters. You'll be able to catch that at 8 p.m. EST on Thursday. And then we'll be off for the weekend and we'll be back on Monday with another fantastic episode of this, and I'm so excited. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, let us know. You can reach out on Twitter. You can reach out on our Discord. The link is below. All these amazing people are there. Come say hi. Talk to us about the game. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like, respectfully. Ask us why we did the things we did. Make a very loud bet on who would win in a fight between Agent Hart and Lieutenant MacCern. Whatever. We're happy to have you, and it would be fun. Just feel free to join up. We also have a Ko-Fi. You can go over to our Ko-Fi. We have a bunch of cool, that's what I didn't mention. We have a bunch of cool free stuff. We have free maps. We're going to be having free items, free subclasses for stuff like D&D. We also have naming rights for NPCs included in our memberships. Behind the scenes shows included in our memberships. For our top tier membership, once per month, we select a random person who we will design a custom character for, including artwork, which is amazing. And yes, thank you, the Eye, for throwing that in chat. And another way to support us, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe, follow, hook up with us here. It's appreciated. We love it. All of our shows are also available week later over on our YouTube, which is also Tales from the Table Studios. You can find all our stuff there. We're going to, as we go off the air now, go raid Girls Run These Worlds. Thank you again to everyone. We love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. And remember to always tell your tales. Good night. We're going to be raiding in like 7 seconds, so we're going to hold off for a second. And off we go.
Rain.